free, Skaro! Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 815. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
In this episode, no talk of Calgary Expo, because...
where Stephen and Erica and Kat and I were originally once upon a time thinking of being, and have not gone there.
No.
Insert sad trombone.
No, Christopher Eccleston canceled. Luckily, just before, hours before, I was going to book a hotel room, because apparently in this time we're in a global pandemic. By the way, I don't know if anyone noticed. Yeah, and I think that hotels have sort of they need a little more insurance policy, and so you used to be able to cancel a hotel within 24 hours of a stay. Now it's 72 hours on Expedia.
Some.
So
we is a swamp of contradictions, by the way.
Yeah,
I would avoid it if I were you.
There's lots of hotels that will bill you the full amount as soon as you book it, no matter what. So.
And so we couldn't. Anyway, we always there's this one hotel near the airport in the middle of nowhere where we often stay because it's a long-term stay. I think it's got a little kitchen in there. Even though we were going to stay there for the one night and head to the Eccleston panel on the Saturday morning. But they were saying you couldn't cancel after September 7th. That was the date that Christopher Eccleston announced that he wasn't going to be there. So I know. And we rented a car. We're going to rent a car, but of course, because of the global microchip short, what a great time! Oh, this is a wonderful decade we're having here. There's no more microchips. So rental cars are an absolute premium. You can only rent one kind of car if you're lucky, and we had managed to finagle one, but we canceled that now.
Was it you or was it somebody else who said that during COVID a lot of rental companies also sold off chunks of their fleet to stay afloat?
It was me. They sold off all their fleet, thinking that they could just buy back new cars when the pandemic ended. A, the pandemic isn't ended, and B, there's a global microchip shortage, so they can't make new cars. So rental car companies can't buy new cars, and so no one can buy new cars or Xboxes or PlayStations or anything else.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've got games coming out aplenty in spring 2022. I cannot find a PS5 to play them on. That is completely a whine on my part, but I'm like, well, what else am I going to do? I'm going to stay at home this whole time. Come on.
If it's spring, then at least you have a few months for something. Because by that point in time, they'll been out for a year and a half. So you might. I
am on the hunt.
Yeah.
You might
and
find
it's not my PS4
some secondhand ones.
One are terrible or anything, but whatever.
Sure. What a great time! What a great day! What a great days we live in. Global microchip shortage. We have plenty of vaccines, but not enough people are taking them, and so they're just going stale, and we're not sending them off to other countries that maybe would want them and stuff.
Some places are. Grim specter of
some places are, but so good times. Good times, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Edmonton Expo.
We live in the Florida of Canada. So.
Alberta.
I'll be visiting the Florida of Canada in just a few days.
That's exciting, everyone. Yeah, so in 2 weeks' time, kids, for the first time in years, Chris and Warren are going to be over here. We're going to be recording both the episode that week and a commentary live from the Verity Free Skaro studios here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
And that, besides my parents' place, is the only place I'll be going.
Pretty much. Yep. So that's exciting. Yeah. Excitement ahoy. Actual people. We haven't been recording in person together. Well, we never do anyway because we live in different places. But
outside of Galley, it's very
outside
rare.
of Galley. Galley's the only time that I can think of the Sunday episode review of Haunting of Villa Diodati in February of 2020, which seems an eternity ago.
That's because Galley, it was an eternity ago.
How many years ago was it we sat at a table at Edmonton Expo and recorded together?
We did a Fluid Links episode.
There was Fluid Links too, yeah. That was 4 or 5 years. It
was a long time ago. That's when Edmonton Expo was in September. in its normal place. And Calgary Expo was in July, but because the aforementioned global pandemic has shifted things, so the Calgary Expo was this weekend in a much reduced capacity, and then Edmonton Expo is in 2 weekends hence, with a much smaller guest list as well, including no Doctor Who guests. So there might not be much Edmonton Expoing going on for me. Chris, you're thinking about going maybe on the Sunday or something, maybe.
We'll see how it goes. I've made sure to set the time aside. What I do with it has yet to be determined. But right now there's Calgary was pretty comparable as well. But there's I think 8 official guests, something like that. Thankfully, there's a couple names like Jonathan Frakes and William Shatner as part of that list.
Right.
Assuming there's no cancellations.
That's the thing. There could
what
be
more steroids are they putting in William Shatner that he's traveling around at age 90?
He's 90 years old and he's everywhere. He's like I kind of feel like Shatner just has to keep going. Like, some people just keep
like a
going.
Shark.
Yeah,
just have to keep moving.
They just keep moving. Well, they don't have to, but they just feel like this is where they're comfortable. I mean, this is how we do it. I'm 90 years old. No,
at 90 years old, I doubt I'll be at 50. I'm not moving around that much.
Yeah. It's impressive. But I mean, maybe, once Edmonton sort of, once Calgary wraps up, which happens today as we record this, September 12th, maybe they'll announce some more guests for Edmonton. Maybe this is it. I don't know, but I don't suspect there'll be any Doctor Who guests, maybe, unless Eccleston feels that, you know what, I should have been at Calgary. Let's go to Edmonton instead. He's going to be in Dallas. He's still there for Dallas this coming weekend.
I think you just Mary Sue at a convention appearance.
I did probably, because that usually happens. Yeah, no. But I know that to work in the episode title, if anyone's confused, we were talking about this a few days ago when Eccleston canceled, and we were looking at Dallas and thinking, who else is canceled in Dallas? Billie Piper has, plus the 4 Hobbits from Dallas. So. But Eccleston is still listed on there despite having canceled in Calgary. So who knows if he can still make his Dallas appointment. And I don't know what's happening the weekend after that. But anyway, conventions.
Yeah.
Recordings, all that sort of thing. Also, I just want to mention, I mean, I know yesterday as we record, this is the 20th anniversary of 9/11. I'm not going to go too much into that because it's a very painful day for a lot of people. But I was watching... for only the second time, maybe third time, the movie United 93, which
did I last night.
Yeah.
Is that the one starring Henry Van Staten?
Henry Van Staten is in that. He's one of the passengers on the plane. And it's like, okay, it is a tremendously well-made film. And... Yes, very, very rough to watch.
It is harrowing. Yes.
It is very harrowing. It is an amazing film that it's probably easier to watch when you have some distance from the actual events about which is based. But my what I'm beginning to call my dwaydar, my Doctor Who radar, whenever I recognize faces or names in the credits of people, as the credits are scrolling up, as I'm like gobsmacked by how the movie ended and everything, I noticed the name Dinah Collin, costume designer. I'm going, wait a second, Dinah Collin, she worked on she designed the costumes for 3 Doctor Who stories, including Earthshock. Yeah, she's a massive name in the costume design industry now.
And when you mentioned this to me, I looked a bunch of stuff up. Also, they show exteriors from Newark. Obviously, not going to film in Newark Airport because that would be rather, touchy, emotionally speaking. So what they did is they filmed everything at Pinewood, and then the interiors are at some UK airport. I don't remember which one, Newcastle, I think. But it looks, having been in Newark Airport numerous times, it does look exactly the same. They did a very good job. But that's why you got some different Doctor Who doing the costumes, because it was mostly filmed in England, except the exteriors, right? So yeah.
That's why you got Corey Johnson there as Henry Van Staten playing one of the guests. Mm-hmm. I mean,
and they did that because they didn't want to, they thought it would be a little fraught for people to shoot this in New York, so they didn't want to put anybody through that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you're an American actor in England, boy, I bet you sometimes you're going to have quite a career. Like, Shane Rimmer had he's Canadian, lived in the UK all his life pretty much, and like was the token American in, from everything from the gunfighters to James Bond films,
On the other hand, the people living in in England who were in Aliens, they've made a point of saying, yeah, we got paid for being in Aliens. We didn't get anything else. that was our day rate, and that was that. The reason we come to these conventions because we like you guys.
Yeah, like Rigo Ross, who was the ringmaster in The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. And Levy Parsons, who was in Mind Warp. I just watched Aliens recently for only the second time. I really didn't like Aliens the first time round because I hated Bill Paxton's characters. And yeah, I didn't like him at all. And it soured my experience on the whole movie. But watching it a second time, I watched the director's version the first time, which I thought was even more like
There's stuff that doesn't need to be in there.
Militaristic. I guess I was surprised by the militaristic nature of Aliens.
That's kind of the point, though. You got to remember when it came out. It came out around the same time as all the Vietnam movies, and so
I know.
Kind of a sci-fi take on that, and it shows. And it's actually one of the more accurate sci-fi takes on Vietnam, frankly.
That's a good point.
They go in there, they know what the hell they're doing, and they get obliterated.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I bring this up just because I think there's an Avatar coming out, whatever. But I know that there are things now because there was Star Trek Day that happened this past week, and they had new trailers for that, and new trailer. There's a new Matrix movie coming in December, and there was trailers for that, and everyone's going crazy about it. And I didn't see the Matrix until like literally 3 or 4 or 5 years ago for the first time. And it's tough. I need to watch that again because when you see everything that imitates the Matrix first and then you see the original, it's like, oh, I'm not as impressed by this.
I had that problem with Halloween. I watch Halloween and I'm like, oh, I could see everybody rip this off. But it's better. It is definitely better. And I can see why it was such a big deal at the time, too.
And I can also definitely see all the homages or whatever word you want to use.
I think that the words you're looking for is missing the point. Hey, the Matrix is great. Let's steal bullet time. The only thing we can do.
I can definitely see it diminishing the original as a result.
Yeah, it was a lot more. I guess I didn't expect it to be so violent.
It is quite violent.
I was taken aback. Yeah, I didn't realize it was such a violent movie. Just
you should watch. Will Smith talks about how the Wachowski brothers at the time come up to him and pitched the movie and did a really bad job of pitching it at him, so he passed on it. But then he explains how he says, basically, if I would have been Neo, then they wouldn't have had a black Morpheus, and then Larry Fishburne wouldn't have been Morpheus, and that would have sucked. So I'm kind of glad I didn't get this, because otherwise we wouldn't have gotten a Morpheus or a good Morpheus anyway. So I'm like, Will Smith, you got a good point there. And he's very easygoing about the whole thing. He's like, well, you know what? I don't think I should have been in this movie. I think it's a better movie for not having me in it.
You know what? I think Will Smith has done all right for his career. I think he's done all right. Exactly. I think he's gotten over not being in the Matrix.
Well, 1999, that Wild Wild West would have been what he made instead or something.
Yeah, thank God he made a point of saying, I kind of made this thing, and I'm not thrilled with that.
God, he made that.
Yeah, he got to work.
But it was a funny and kind of self-effacing look.
He got to work with Kenneth Branagh, so.
Yeah. And also, he would have been an okay Neo, too. So, I mean.
Speaking of Larry Fishburne, not in the
Larry Fishburne,
Matrix,
as he was
sequel.
credited in Apocalypse Now and nowhere else, but sure.
Exactly. Yeah. What I find funny, though, is funny. By funny, I mean annoying online fans going, "This is a crime." I'm like, maybe he just didn't want to do it. Like, I don't know.
No, he wasn't asked. He wasn't asked at all. Is the story I've heard.
Oh, do you know the reason why this is ludicrous? Why Lawrence Fishburne?
No, Ludacris wasn't asked. He's too busy with Fast and Furious series.
Lawrence Fishburne apparently wasn't in the Matrix trailer because his character died in a Matrix video game.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which is
the worst looking video game.
Which is being taken as imagine that. Imagine says, "Oh, is Doctor Who I don't know, like, is Tom Baker's Doctor going to be in the next? No, we actually wrote him out because if you play Lego Dimensions and you actually run him off a cloud and he falls to pieces and then he regenerates into Peter Davison, so no, sorry, we don't have him because he died in that video game. Sorry.
The thing is, Star Wars, for one. So
right.
We slag on Star Trek for being so slavish to its continuity. But Star Trek at least only kind of hews to the TV and film stuff. Star Wars tries to tie absolutely everything together. And sometimes it works, like with the end of Mandalorian Season 2, where some robots show off that are pretty cool, that if you know the video game history, they're fine. Right. And sometimes it doesn't.
No.
Like...
It's kind of why I'm very hit and miss with Star Wars these days, because I'm thinking I just want my films, and I want my Mando and his little buddy Baby Yoda to have adventures together, and I don't care about anything else.
Well,
Do not care.
The thing is, and I've always argued this with people who freak out about continuity, it's just ignore that crap. Who cares?
That's what I do with Star Wars.
Like just
it's
oh,
great.
Look, a reference. That doesn't mean anything to me, so I don't care.
It kind of feels great. I'm kind of enjoying my Star Wars fandom in a way, because I just pick and choose, and I imagine this is what like casual viewers of Doctor Who must do. They've been just like, you know what? I don't care about anything that happened before 1989.
After multiple decades, I don't think any of the three of us can say what casual Doctor Who viewers do. We are incapable biologically.
I don't know what it's like
of being able to decide that.
I know. Like if you're listening to this pod, are you a casual Doctor Who fan? Like are we dropping way too many references for you to like? I don't know what they're talking about. I have only watched
like
this
I said,
since
you
Peter
can just ignore the
Capaldi
references.
That's true. I guess
when it comes to the Star Wars stuff, I mentioned I think last week that we'd recently watched. At least Phantom Menace or whatever at that point. Right. So apparently it's turned into a whole rewatch. So
I'm sorry.
gone through the first 6 and
thoughts and prayers.
Rogue One and between 3 and 4 and.
All right.
Did you watch Rogue One before A New Hope?
Yeah, I just said between 3 and 4.
Good.
And then last night we watched Force Awakens in the first hour of Last Jedi.
Right. Gave up. Yeah.
Dislike Force Awakens less now that I've had a little more distance.
That's good. That's good.
I
never disliked it. I just thought it was a big nostalgia retread, frankly.
Yeah. I'm still not a big fan of it. And Last Jedi, we're just hit Benicio del Toro's appearance, and I still hate that subplot so much.
It's
so boring.
It's my problem with Last Jedi. Not that this is let's bash Star Wars, but in retrospect, it's like let's take our two characters of color and put them off on some useless side mission while the rest of the movie goes on.
There's I was thinking about it, and if you sometimes you kind of have to think harder than others, I suppose, but in all of the Star Wars films, there's this chunk of it which I really just don't care for, and
like the Ewoks, for one.
Could happily see excised and not miss a thing. Like in the original one, the whole trash compactor scene, for example.
I was 6 at the time, so any and all. I'm not capable of judging that film in a non-biased way.
For Empire, I could do without the whole Hoth parts. For
what? You're an absolute criminal.
For Jedi, man, I don't know. Endor,
careful, man. God.
Just get rid of Endor.
It just wraps up.
What happens with me is
they save Han, they sail away from the sail barge, and
Well, what happened with me with Endor is the minute the Ewoks showed up, like on home video, I would just fast forward to the space battle because I didn't care. And so when they re-released Jedi in whatever that was, 98, I guess, I was watching the Ewok stuff going, this is all completely new to me because I haven't seen it in 15 years. I've completely forgotten all this stuff because I just skip past it all the time.
I like the Endor battle. Like I still love I still always cheer like when the two giant logs crush the AT-ST. Man, I still throw my hands up in the air. Like I love that bit. But
it's pretty cool. Anyway, Hellwood, it should be, I know this is a Doctor Who podcast, but I know, amazing. But I know that I just before recording, I finally watched the new Picard trailer because it's coming out.
Yeah, it looks horrible, doesn't it?
It looks middling. I'll put it that way.
Oh, boy.
It does not entice me to watch Series 2, even though I'm sure I will.
I'll put it this way. I'm more interested in Star Trek Prodigy, aimed at children, than I am at that trailer.
I never watched the trailer for that.
Prodigy looks like that looks like no-go territory for me.
Well, if it can go one of two ways. It can go kiddie or it can go Clone Wars. And if it goes Clone Wars, then I'm on board. And I think it's
intended for a younger audience.
It's on Nickelodeon, so take that for what it's worth.
Well, I'll watch the first episode. If I don't like it, I'll stop watching it. That's pretty simple.
For me... And I think for you as well, Stephen, one of you guys anyway. Like Voyager's just like not even on my radar.
It's terrible.
So
it's my least favorite Star Trek.
Yeah,
it isn't on my radar. I'm probably gonna try to watch it after I get finished with Deep Space Nine in a year's time because I'm putting it off ending it.
So because Janeway's in Prodigy and I don't care about Voyager or Janeway, I liked her
mind
appearance
Janeway,
in
but
whatever film that
Voyager
was,
itself,
Insurrection or whatever. But Nemesis. But
was it as Nemesis?
I think she's a Nemesis.
Yeah, Nemesis. Yeah.
anyway, Prodigy doesn't much do it for me. And for Picard's, whichever one of you said before we recorded that Q is in it, probably a lot less than we're meant to think.
More
You're probably right, and that's going to be sad. And I really am not a fan of future sci-fi series comes to present day to save money.
I can be if it's done well, but
It's been done.
It can be if it's done well, but it's overdone is the thing.
Yeah, just
The only thing I can think of where it was done really, really well, and it lasted for 4 years, is Continuum. They shot in modern day Vancouver, and they're like, "This is modern day Vancouver."
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I anything that Akiva Goldman and Alex Kurtzman have to do with it.
Travelers did that too, didn't they?
Yeah,
Same
they
basic
did.
idea.
Yeah. I don't have faith in Star Trek showrunners, and they've been signed on for like 4 more years of this. I'm just thinking, oh man. I mean, I'm intrigued because it's Patrick Stewart. I mean, he's the draw for me. I'm watching this thing because of Patrick Stewart.
And I'm totally for John Delancey as well. I'm curious to see how much Q is in it.
So like Picard I'll watch because of my ties to the Next Generation, that whole thing, and because Patrick Stewart's awesome. But oh man, I don't know.
Can I spoil the end of season 1?
No. Why not? It's been
okay. So
2
I
years.
think the whole reason Q is in this is so in the end he can snap his fingers and Picard is no longer a android copy of himself. He's back to being Picard.
This is the problem with
what's going to happen. That's my prediction.
This is the problem with current Star Trek, in my opinion, is that I feel like the show is basically just it's covering up what the mistakes that it made. Either the previous season or under the previous showrunner, or perhaps
the
during
whole season is an apology for Nemesis, and I'm fine with that because they should apologize for Nemesis.
I suppose so.
I like Nemesis,
and it's a good ending. But you're right.
So I got to ask Stephen. So
right.
I know one of your big bugbears about Lower Decks is how much it seems to rely on callbacks and nostalgia.
Yeah.
So Picard is almost nothing but. Like, there's so much more callbacks and nostalgia in Picard, despite the introduction of the his Vulcan housekeeper and whatever.
Right.
Does it rub you the right way for Picard? Or
I don't. No, I mean, because I just remember watching like literally the pre-credit sequence of episode 1 of Lower Decks, and there was like 5 jokey references. And what I didn't like about Lower Decks is that it's state-sanctioned parody. Like, we'll make fun of Star Trek, but on our own terms because we're actually official Star Trek. It's like, you can't really do an official parody of yourself. It feels a little bit disingenuous.
They do an okay job of it. They do.
Yeah.
You can tell the people making it love Star Trek and also love making fun of Star Trek.
Well, I know, but
I see where you're coming from with this, but it seems to. But if you like it or you don't, I'm not going to convince you otherwise.
It's like Star. It's like that. The one Mandalorian scene that I hated from the first season was where like they have the scene where the 2 biker scouts are sitting there and they're trying to do a shooting contest and none of them can hit the target. They're going, okay, all right, yes, I know. Stormtroopers can't shoot.
Stupid is where one biker scout goes, "Oh my god!" I'm like, that's the first time anybody's ever mentioned a deity of any sort in Star Wars. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The Ewoks had gods.
Yeah, they had C-3PO.
That's true. Yeah, old guy. Yeah.
And then Warren, just to ask you, what are your thoughts on the new Uhura in?
I actually am pretty jazzed about Strange New Worlds.
Oh, right, they're making a new old Star Trek. Again.
It'll be interesting to see like Uhura and Chapel and Mbenga, I think his name is the doctor who's like the other doctor on the Enterprise. I'm interested in seeing how they do that because it'll be. I don't know. I think Strange New Worlds could be a total nostalgia rehash, or it could have a lot of potential to be cool. We'll see.
Pike on Discovery was kind of a highlight.
He's great. Anson Mount is excellent. Yes. Yeah, and actually,
I'm looking forward more to Strange New Worlds than I think anything else. Even possibly
the three main characters. They're all good in Discovery. So, and they're actually the main reason I like Discovery in season 2. So probably I'm probably looking forward to Strange New Worlds more than anything else. But it could also crashingly disappoint me for the same reasons.
And I just realized, so Rebecca Romaine is on there, and of course. Her husband's on Lower Decks, so they're both in Star Trek now. Or is she still married to Jerry O'Connell, or no? I think they're still married.
I have no idea, not a clue.
I don't follow the. I only know it was Rebecca Romaine Stamos. So I mean,
Yeah, it's a little
I think
while
the words
ago.
you're looking for, Stephen, are "I don't care."
not as much. Not as much when it comes to the look, because I never watched any of season 2 of Discovery because I noped the hell out of that show.
Jerry O'Connell and Rebecca Romaine are still married since 2007.
Wow.
Well, good for them.
Good work. Jerry O'Connell, who of course was in Sliders, which Fox decided to pick up instead of Doctor Who back in 1996.
Bringing it back.
There
somehow.
it is, man. There it is.
And a show that was not that bad.
I never watched it.
It was just
but
cheap.
I know. And that's now
Listen,
you know why.
The
they
entirety
brought
of
it
Canadian
back.
television is not bad but cheap, so let's not slag it too much.
They spent so
Yeah.
much money on that TARDIS set for that one TV movie, and then that was it. They just and then you realize how expensive a show like Doctor Who is. Obviously we know this. I've been watching Blake 7. I'm almost up to the end of season 1, but there had been some episodes which take place almost entirely on the Liberator sets. There's one or two they haven't gone on location here. They haven't built a single extra set. It's all Liberator sets and thinking, this must have been so cheap to make. Whereas Doctor Who, throughout its history, there's only been one set. And oftentimes we don't even have room for that set, the TARDIS set that being. So we're not even going to include it in this episode, which means we have to build entirely new sets for this whole story.
Watching
Makes you
Blake
think.
7, not for the first time, but more or less kind of for the first time. One of the things I loved was when they get on the Liberator and they're like, my God, it's astonishing. I'm like, it's not that astonishing, guys.
No.
Come on. It's 1970s astonishing, I guess.
Yeah. It's amusing. Anyway.
How far are you through your watching of?
About halfway through the first season, it's stopped.
Still slow going. Okay.
Yeah, I'm watching it hit and miss here and there. I'm on my into season 3 now of my Doctor Who watch, one episode a day leading up to the 60th anniversary, and I'm finally dipping into properly all the recons that I made for myself with the narrated soundtrack.
Are you on master plan or?
Tonight, September 12th, I'll be watching part 4 of Galaxy 4.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I watched an actual episode last night, which is exciting to see moving pictures. I'm going to be...
I just like to isolate that sentence. I watched an actual episode last night.
And actually, yeah, because it actually moved. There were moving pictures in it. It's one that I haven't seen that often, because
I hate new Star Trek. By the way, I'm going on my way to watch pictures that don't move.
I know. I am awful. I am awful.
You're not awful. You just have specific tastes that you are militant about. How about that?
Very specific tastes. I find so much more joy in a reconstruction of a missing Doctor Who episode that I like. Like, look, we just spent so much money on these computers and everything else to make this show for you. You don't even watch.
I'm not any better. Netflix rolls out some series to great fanfare, and my number one feeling is, that sounds like work.
It's like, I am going to watch this fan university made. Actually, that's a good idea. I'm going to watch 2 versions of Mission to the Unknown tomorrow. I'm going to watch both the actual recon and then I'm going to watch the the University of Lancashire. Is that who did it?
Which I watched it and remake? I'm like, I'm totally getting into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's on the BBC YouTube page, so I can watch it there. I'm totally going to watch that. I'm going to watch both.
It instead of your non-moving picture recon.
No, I'm going to watch both. Come on, it's Mission to the Unknown.
Chris, you of all people can't complain about completionism.
Yeah. Since there's no VAM for all these missing episodes, and so what I've been doing is at the end of a story,
there is for the remount.
There is for the remount. I'm going to watch that too. For the once I'm done a story, like if it's on a DVD or something, I'll watch all the VAM for the next one immediately after it, just to sort of whet the appetite for what's to come. But of course, there's not a lot of VAM when it comes to all the missing episodes.
Stephen, you're a crazy person.
I am.
I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying you are a crazy person.
I know. This is a reason why I've been doing a Doctor Who podcast with you two for 15 years. Because,
like I said, I'm not criticizing.
No. It's called focus, Warren. That's what it is. I know a lot of
is it though?
A lot of people I know have this amazing ability to be simultaneously interested in like 15 different shows and movies, and I'm just thinking I don't have that.
And I kind of get where you're coming from with the whole this bit of minutia, because there's a guy called Matthew Toffolo, I think his name is, and he used to do like little dramatic episodes of his own creation with action figures, and I started watching. I'm like, I'm totally getting into this Doctor Who story, which is a bunch of toys and essentially still pictures. So I'm no better than you are.
But he also speaks to you in a way that a lot of people...
That's true. That's true. I do have the Dolly virus.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, Galaxy 4. So we're into season 3, John Wiles' era. Very interesting era for me. I find it fascinating. So I'm looking forward to watching Dalek's master plan over the course of 12 nights and not all in one go, which a lot of people make the mistake of doing because it was broadcast over the course of 12 weeks back in 1965 and 66. So, which is probably an eternity then. Just like when we'll get the next season of Doctor Who. Oh, look at that segue. Literally 30 minutes into the podcast, we finally get onto the news list.
By impressive, I mean terrifying.
Yeah, as we await the beginning of season series 13. What are we at? 13? 13 of Doctor Who. Jodie Whittaker's been doing a couple of interviews. She was on BBC Radio Live 6 or something like that, I think, recently, and then also did an interview in the Sunday Times. I noticed that... this might be spoilers, but what's his name? John Bishop was on a morning talk. I think he was on BBC Breakfast. Mostly talking about his upcoming comedy tour. But the fact that he was on there talking about a comedy tour and not shooting Doctor Who, does that mean he's in the final special, which they're shooting right now? Or perhaps they have finished shooting.
Spoilers, he dies.
I have no idea either. So
I'd say there's a chance that they've finished shooting.
Yeah, I think it might be because I think they were sort of doing this. So anyway, I'm intrigued to see. Hopefully, at some point, given that and this goes back to me wishing in a way that that Doctor Who wasn't stuck in its old broadcast mentality because we're waiting for a premiere date. Meanwhile, February 2022 is when Picard season 2 is going to drop. Like we know this like 6 months in advance. As a recording right now, Erica was, my spouse Erica, who's on Verity, for those who don't know, was sending out emails and stuff to schedule for future Verity recordings. And I had to point out, you're scheduling stuff for like in October, November. We probably might have a series of Doctor Who coming at some point before the end of the calendar year. Just, that thing. Yeah, it's nice to have things to look forward to. Just saying there, BBC, it would be nice to know when the next series of Doctor Who is happening.
It's mid-September and we have no clue still. What's going on?
No clue. And I feel like, this is where if Doctor Who had a little more control over itself and not have to be beholden to when it's going to appear in a schedule to fend off competition from ITV, we might be able to actually look forward to Doctor Who a little bit more and maybe be in the little public eye a little bit more.
Because we've said it's going to drop right after this recording. That's what's going to happen.
Quite probably. Who knows? Sometimes it happens. I hate it when a big thing happens on Monday. Just like irks me. Just like, or even a Sunday night. Like, remember we jumped in and did a special recording when they announced the whole cast of the Jodie Whittaker era because it was going to leak. So like literally at 10 o'clock UK time, they said, "Oh, here's our cast." Hanging out in a doorway as casts are wont to do, because they needed to put out a quick press release to get out ahead of a leaked report. And so we did a special episode. I'm thinking, if a whole bunch of stuff happens on Monday, it's going to be, oh, you swine. Anyway, Jodie Whittaker, Doctor Who, shooting possibly done. The new series was going to happen at some point before the end of this calendar year because there is an actual holiday special happening at New Year's. So within the next 3 months, kids, we're going to have 6 new episodes of continuous Doctor Who, one big giant story happening, which is interesting and exciting to look forward to. Right?
Indeed.
Right. Yeah.
Indeed.
Today as we record this, it's probably over by the point now, but there was an Evil of the Daleks BFI screening at the BFI where they screened all 7 episodes simultaneously. They didn't do it simultaneously, but it's a lot to get through in one screening.
That would be a lot to complain about.
Yeah, Chris, you're saying they broke it up. They showed 3 episodes or 4 episodes, and then Mark Ayres came on. Yeah.
Yeah, I showed 4 episodes and then had a bit of a break. And during that break, I know Mark Ayres was on stage talking about sound stuff. But they did show all 7 episodes altogether. That's
impressive. I'm glad. I know that because I saw Power of the Daleks way back when it came into theaters, and it was a compilation of the 6 episodes, but it was still like 2 and a bit hours long, and it was still like riveting to watch. But they just showed individual episodes for this time, but. Because it's coming out in towards the end of this month, in the UK, and November 16th. Only on DVD.
Pre-ordered.
Here on North America. That's right. You pre-ordered it. That's right. I've opened up my my Amazon tracking page, as I usually do, several days before it actually begins to ship for my season 24 Blu-ray set. Just sitting there waiting. Just waiting for that thing. I'm going to get an email.
9 more days.
I'll get an email when it says it'll have shipped, but I don't care. I've got that tracking notice just ready to go. Can't wait. 25 hours of raw studio and location footage.
You have a sickness.
I am more excited about raw studio and location footage for something shot over 30 years ago than I am anything put out by any person who is talented and in the profession today and who spent a lot more money to make. There is something wrong
luckily,
with
the
me.
entire entertainment megaplex doesn't depend on your personal whims.
I'm so glad. God, I feel so much guilt thinking, oh, listen, you've got to come and see this new Matrix movie. If you don't, we are going to go bankrupt, Stephen. It's dependent on you and your $15. Thinking, you know what? I'm out. I've already spent this money on the season 24 Blu-ray set. And honestly, Chris Chapman and everyone else who's making all the documentaries, I am not watching your stuff first. I'm not doing it. I am watching that raw footage first. That is literally the first thing I'm going to watch when I get that. When you are over here, when you two are over here in a couple weeks' time to record, I might still be in the midst of it all. Watching it all.
You will be, I guarantee.
Yeah. It won't be background noise because I'm going to be paying attention to it. So, like, it's not just going to be on in the background.
Foreground noise, great.
Yeah. So, if Warren, I know you want to see this because you're interested in season 24.
Boy, do I.
Like, if we're watching it intently. In fact, instead of the episode commentary that we're planning on doing, we might just do a commentary on the raw footage instead.
You go right ahead. Warren and I'll go off in the corner and like do heroin or something more interesting.
Yeah, that sounds preferable.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what's happening. So there. Evil of Alex, November 16th. Season 24 box set. September 21st for us. 21st for us here in North America. So speaking of dates, let's look back at some. How about, in the old Timelash, what's going on this week in Doctor Who history? Thanks to tragicalhistorytour.com, by the way. I should give that website a plug because that's the calendar that we rely on to look at the stuff that we look back on in this day in history. I do notice that a listener tweeted at us saying, "Oh, talk about this one or that one," but this is not an exhaustive list. Can we point that out? It's not an exhaustive list of what? Because as I count here, like there's been like 20 different episodes aired this week in history.
It's a cavalcade of whimsy is what it is.
We're not going to cover them off, all of them, but we're going to cover off a lot of them. Let's put it that way. Like Listen premiered September 13th, 2014. That's a good episode. Remember that story? Yeah. Yeah, that was like Stephen Moffat, like just saying to himself, "Hey, I can write just a middle of the road episode in the middle of the season," and then he wrote that, which might be one of the greatest stories of the entire year.
Going back to talking about like the bottle episodes of Blake 7 set only on the Liberator, something like Listen could have been this early season inconsequential thing that could have been done as a bottle episode and really wasn't, and it's just so good as a result.
I just remember her showing up in the barn, which is basically just a bed, essentially with some hay scattered around it, and doing an actual intake of breath when it turns out that they're on Gallifrey. I'm like, what? Yeah.
Gosh, there's like 4 people in that whole episode. 4 of them, and 2 of them are the same person in Danny Payne.
And Murray Gold takes a lot of stick for no good reason, frankly. That is a great score. A fantastic score, that episode.
Can I point out, Warren, sometimes you sort of like self-insert like a lot of stick from people. I think maybe like one person in your life has like criticized that. It's not because
I'll see people on Twitter get angry about Murray Gold.
I think a lot more people are in favor of Murray Gold than are against him. I'm just saying. I think, for instance, I think a lot of people. I'm
not criticizing him.
I think a lot of people like Gridlock compared to like how you feel it's the great slagged off story of our time. I think more people like it than you think.
Well, here's the thing. I don't care what they think. I like it. The end. And also, I like this score.
Okay.
I think it's very, very good.
It is excellent. I should also mention that The Reign of Terror, episode 6 aired on September 12th, 1964. Thus, finally...
Wrapping up season 1, yeah.
Wrapping up season 1 a full, 10 months after it started. My God.
And then Mind Robber episode 1 as well for... Oh, sorry, I'm thinking Time Meddler. I don't know, I'm thinking Time Meddler. Anyway.
Yeah.
Mind Robber. Sorry, that's season 6, whatever.
Yeah, Mind Robber kicked off, which should have been The Dominators Part 6. But of course it wasn't, because Derek Sherwin doesn't like anything that came in, and so they truncated The Dominators into 5 episodes, thus forcing the creators of those two to change their name to Norman Ashby for the sake of the credits, because they took their name off it, and this is probably why The Dominators still isn't on BritBox here, and it was on for a while, and now it's gone. The Dominators isn't there. It's so fascinating on BritBox here in North America. Possibly because of what happened over 50 years ago. It's crazy.
One of the great BritBox injustices, I have to
yeah.
say. However,
So,
if you want to see Piers Morgan on This Morning Britain from way back when, you can.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. So the Mind Robber, for those that don't know, the Mind Robber was originally a 4-part story. They tacked on an episode from the beginning as a bottle episode, literally with what scraps around the studio they had. They only had the TARDIS set and a white cyclorama and a couple of stock costumes from Out of the Unknown, which they painted white for the white robots, and they made an episode out of it. And it's bonkers and brilliant, and features one of the great cliffhangers of all time. In the exploding TARDIS, it came about because Derek Sherwin did not like where the Dominators was going, and truncated it in the writing process. So that's how the Mind Robber came to be. Quite something. Town Called Mercy aired September 15th, 2012.
Most enjoyable. More enjoyable on second viewing.
I think, yeah. Why do you say that, Warren? Just
because I did a rewatch a while back of the newer stuff, and it's the same thing as a lot of stuff where you're looking forward to the big marquee episodes. So you're like, yeah, come on, get on with it, and you give short shrift to certain episodes. And this one, I think I gave, not that I didn't like it was fine, but I like it better now when it's kind of on its own, doing its own. Plus, people go on and on about how Doctor Who can't do a Western based on the idiotic hatred of the gunslingers, which is or gunfighters, pardon me. Which is, again, me basing it solely on Doctor Who Celebration and probably not much else. Although, how did Doctor Who poll rate the gunfighters?
Pretty low, probably.
Oh, very poorly.
Okay, yeah, and they're wrong. But also, this is the same thing. It's like the whole point of, it's not a real Western. It's the Doctor shenanigans in the Old West. I think people, well, why can't they do a Western? Like, well, why should they do a Western, right? Frankly.
Gunfighters was number 175.
Criminal.
Just ahead of Silver Nemesis.
Whoa, that is criminal.
And just behind Power of Kroll.
Oh, I love everything. I love 25 hours of raw studio footage. That should be higher than Silver Nemesis.
Which on second viewing is much better.
I think you're right, because I kind of, like, I'm not a big Western fan, but I like the ones that I like, and that one is basically Once Upon a Time in the West, which is the greatest Western ever made.
And it's fairly well done, I thought.
With the ending of The Three Amigos.
Sure.
I think Smith is the perfect Doctor for that. I mean, I can't see Capaldi doing it, and I definitely can't see Tennant doing it.
I can totally see Capaldi doing it.
I can 100% see Capaldi doing it.
So much more
I guess he kind of does in The Doctor Falls anyway.
He kind of is. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. He sort of does this Western bit there, doesn't he? Oh, he'd have been great. He would have been amazing. He'd be very much the Gary Cooper in High Noon kind of
But Smith is
character.
perfect as the goofball comes
film.
in and sort of undercuts everything.
Yeah, I think when you're doing a Western, you kind of, there's an unwritten rule that you are not doing John Wayne, you are doing Sergio Leone when you're doing Westerns. And to the point where they actually went to Spain to the actual set where they filmed some of those movies on, which is quite something. Because they shot that where they shot, was it Once Upon a Time? Not Once Upon a Time in the West. It was Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
That's also a practical concern, too. Like, the reason John Ford movies work is because there's giant American vistas you can shoot off of. And you can't really do that if you're in England, or you could, but it's a lot of... Then you go to Utah for Matt Smith's opener.
But they go to Spain. They went to Spain to shoot Town Called Mercy, so... Because that's what they did. I don't know. Chris, what did you think of Town Called Mercy?
It's fine enough, except for the ending. Yeah.
The ending. That's the thing. I mean, I think that's what gets me when you're mimicking Sergio Leone as one as you have to do. That's the rules of doing a Western these days. But you have to keep it within TV. You can't have a 48-second shot of like a fly jumping around on some guy's face while he's waiting for a train.
Only of Brighton Beach.
Only of Brighton Beach, so that was all right. I interviewed Saul Metzdine, who directed that way back when, and Gallifrey. Was it after that? Because I know he directed like 6 episodes of Doctor Who in like a relatively short amount of time, and I can't remember when I interviewed him. It was in the midst of that or after all 6, but he did a lot. But and we probably did we cover him in the miniscope? I can't remember if we ever covered Saul Metzdine. I think we did, but maybe we didn't.
February, so Galley 2013.
2013, so after Town Called Mercy.
After, yeah.
All right.
That was on our Radio Free Skaro, number 354. The best things in life are Freema.
Freema Agyeman was on that episode. That's right.
She was, yeah.
Interviewed at that same table. Lovely person, is Freema.
Yep, I can't deny that title.
No. That's right. I'm sort of thought like there's a whole bunch of episodes. It's 3 because of course seasons.
We're in the midst of things. Well, even Town Called Mercy is episode 3 of series 7A.
That's true.
Which was the epic chunk of episodes or something meant to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Power of 3 delivered on that. But I think the other 4 did. But
the Power of 3 really should have been the 3rd episode. I mean, if that season, if we're gonna,
maybe.
play it by the
flip
book.
things on their head.
That's true. True.
Series 6, God Complex.
September 17th,
this week, which
2011,
was
10th anniversary of the God Complex. Everyone, yeah.
Which had some strong strengths and some weak bad parts.
Had an Imon. That's all that matters.
Had an Imon. Had a references to the horns of the Imon. That's all I care about. It's actually very good.
David Williams. And, all the introspection and all the mystery. Ooh, what's behind the Doctor's door?
It's proper weird. That's what I love about it.
It is very weird. Doctor Who does weird good, I think. So the Mind Robber
when
part,
it doesn't very badly.
It's like we had the Mind Robber Part 1 also this week, and then also the God Complex, which is also very weird. Doctor Who is weird. It's very good. Which parts don't you like about God Complex, Chris? I'm curious.
I forget the particulars at this point, but there's a whole thing in there that basically ripped off Curse of Fenric as far as faith and stuff like that is concerned.
They took a theme from a 30-year-old show. What the hell is going on here?
Rubbing the wrong way at the time, and I haven't watched it. When did I last do a Matt Smith watch? 20.
We think long and hard. Think long and hard with the Dead Space.
It's exceptionally well shot and directed, I thought.
Other than stuff we might have covered off for miniscopes or whatever. I totally have watched God Complex for a long time.
Wow. I think we did it. We covered Toby Whithouse in the.
I think we did, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I was the one to watch it, which would be why I probably watched it recently.
Probably. I watch them all when we do miniscope. I don't remember who directed God Complex right now.
I don't either. But they did a damn good job as far as I'm concerned.
Golly. I remember who the costume designer was for Earthshock and Mark of the Ronnie and Enlightenment, based on a credit from United 93, but ask me who directed it.
Toby Whithouse miniscope was August 2019, number 702, Tin Dogs and Tin Gods.
Oh, Tin Gods, get it? Because God Complex. And of course he wrote School Arena. What a great episode title that was, man. We should look back. Look back on past RFS episodes.
Have we
of the
reached that
Timelash.
point where we're nostalgically casting back to episode titles we did ourselves?
Well, it just makes sense.
Shut this whole operation down, frankly.
It's an episode title that, in retrospect, makes sense. Unlike when, in 10 years' time, when we look back at Billy Piper and the Hobbits as an episode title, we go, "What the hell were we talking about on that episode?"
That transcends the news. Billy Piper and the Hobbits just sounds like fun, regardless.
Episode 703, which is the second part of the Whithouse miniscope. I think this is my title. Hail Jax, Hail the Unalive.
Oh, because anytime we can work
It's
Paradise
certainly
Towers.
my title.
Anytime we can work. Oh, we're going to be talking about Paradise Towers in a couple weeks' time when we do the Timelash.
Let's not do that.
Looking forward to that. I'm not good at breaking up classic Who that I watched in omnibus version a lot before I finally saw the episodic version. But is the Binro was right scene, is that in part 2 of Reboss Operation or in part 3, which aired on September 16th?
I think it's 3.
Can't remember. God Complex was Nick Hearn, by the way.
Oh, there we go. That makes sense. He's a good director.
Because he also did The Girl Who Waited, so that was that
block,
I guess.
Yeah. Oh, he's a good director. Nick Hearn.
He did Day of the Doctor.
Day of the Doctor, yeah, absolutely. But anyway, Reboss Operation Part 3. I think that's a Bin Rosa. Don't at me. I just have to check it. But it just feels like things are slowing down. We got to pad out episode 3. Let's write one of the greatest scenes in Doctor Who history featuring 2 characters who are side characters, and it's really great. Anyway, Tomb of the Cybermen also episode 3. People think that Tomb of the Cybermen goes downhill in episode 3 because that's when the Cybermen appear, and that's when and they'd all punching Judy voices and stuff and throwing around fake dummies and everything. I'm still a fan of Tomb of the Cybermen. I know that it's very cool to hate on it now that it exists now.
Who exactly is saying it's cool to hate on? Blah, blah,
you know
blah,
what?
Blah,
well,
blah.
I know
Insert
that
previous discussion.
I know that Toby Hadoke actually at a recent Happy Times and Places. Maybe it was a Patreon special, so it might not be coming out for several months. But he was talking about how he doesn't think it's that good. And man, I know that he's a recent one. I know that Luke X of Timidwup has often said that it's not very good either, and other people have said that too. They go, that we saw too.
I disagree.
Yeah, I know.
I loved Tomb the first time I saw it in the early 90s.
Too.
And I still love it.
I mean, I haven't watched it in a long time, but I'll watch it again just to
It's
check it
so
out.
good. It's funny. I was somebody on Twitter was saying about how Jodie Whittaker never watched any Doctor Who. She's awful. We don't and I thought, well, that's dumb because Matt Smith, they gave him a bunch of DVDs to watch. Here's what Doctor Who is like, having never seen it apart from maybe like the new show. And he literally watches the first story that they give him, which is Tomb of the Cybermen, and he bases his character of the Doctor on Patrick Troughton and that. So really, Matt Smith watches like one episode of classic Doctor Who, and he forms one of the great Doctors ever. So no, you don't need to watch all of Doctor Who history to just sort of like soak in the character before you're Doctor Who. So no random person on Twitter.
Well, also,
the
their
Binro was right.
This is their job to pretend well. So come on,
they're actors. Yeah, Binro is right, Chris. Yes,
it is episode 3 of Reboss.
Oh, got it right.
And I wasn't aware of this, but apparently there's a Doctor Who podcast called Binro was right. So
is it really?
Oh. Awesome title, guys.
Yeah, well done.
And/or gals.
Yeah, and/or people.
And/or others.
Yeah. Also, hey, wow, I'm almost up to on the actual anniversary of Galaxy 4. Part 2, Trap of Steel, aired on September 18th, 1965. How about that? It'd be quite something if actually during this 3-year-long trek that I'm on to watch an episode of Doctor Who a day, if it actually works out that at some point I watch an episode on the actual anniversary of its broadcast.
For what it's worth, Galaxy 4 finished at 172, 3 spots ahead of the Gunfighters. On the Mighty
I'm not
200.
surprised. Not surprised. It's kind of a weird episode.
And that was that before Airlock was 2011?
2011 it came out, but it came out on DVD I think in 2012 with the Aztec Special Edition, as I recall.
The Mighty 200 was what, 2010? When did that actually get published?
200 was that didn't include Day of the Doctor, right?
2009.
2009. So yeah, so it's still lost in obscurity. Let's face it. A lot of missing episodes kind of are at that point.
Yeah,
but,
well, because the revamped, whatever they called it after, was the poll that Day of the Doctor won. Mm-hmm. Have they done one since?
Since Day of the Doctor? Oh,
since Day of the Doctor won the poll.
That was like what, 2014 was it?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Probably after 2013 anyway.
I don't know. We're gonna have to do another one. Once the Chibnall era wraps up, which is like in 6 weeks' time, or 12 months, or whenever the next series starts. But anyway, that's just a smattering of what happened this week in history. in the Timelash on here on Radio Free Skaro. Look at that. My God, what an episode so far. We're almost at an hour. We talked about nothing. Well done. Well done, us.
Bravo. We're politicians at this point.
Yeah.
In said Mighty 200, 2 of the bottom 10 are season 24 stories. Paradise Towers and Time of the Ronnie.
Sometimes fan wisdom is correct.
Coming to Blu-ray, North America.
Delta's a 180. And
Dragonfire's still up there, is it really?
Dragonfire's, 180,
that doesn't
186.
strike me as correct.
Yeah.
186. So all of season 24 is in the bottom 21 stories.
That tracks.
I would like to see where the 25 hours of raw studio and location footage would fit.
That puts it right at number 200.
200. Let's talk about some Big Finish stuff that has both been announced and is out there now. Doctor Who BFF Jenny, the Doctor's Daughter, still running. That's coming out in November 2021, which is like 2 months.
Funky looking Cyberman on the cover.
Oh, whoa. Man, they just come up with like new and different weird Cybermen for every single cover they do now.
And Dorian Baldivar in there as well.
What? How can that work? That doesn't make any
They'll
sense.
make it work. It's Big Finish. They can do it.
Come on.
Yeah, it's like a pre-Mondasian.
That Cyberman looks like an Oxford Dean who's very angry with you.
A little bit. He's got kind of like, there's like a Mondasian thing, but the chest unit kind of looks like a little bit of moon-based Cyberman. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
And he just looks miffed at all the hurly-burly occurring around him.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something like in between 10th Planet and Moonbase?
Maybe.
The dance begins.
And there appears to be a vortex manipulator on the cover artwork as well. So.
Yeah, just sort of hovering in space there. They have to go get it or something. I love that we're just trying to like determine what's going on in this based on the cover art. And there's buildings as well.
I'm sure if we read the blurb, it would tell us some of it. But
we don't want to do that. Spoilers. Also, the big thing here is that Jenny is wearing a hat. So at some point she acquires a hat in all of this.
Is that Van Gogh's hat? That's what I'm saying.
No, I think it is. It might be Van Gogh's hat, actually. Maybe it's from Town Called Mercy. Maybe she goes back to the town called... I have no idea. Anyway, November 2021, you can find out for yourself. That's just in 2 months' time. Also, this is kind of cool. In December, the monthly Torchwood release is The Grey Mare, featuring Gareth David
Ghost
Lloyd.
Pony.
Yeah, the Christmas ghost story coming to Torchwood. That seems like a marriage made in heaven in a way, because the great British tradition of the ghost story at Christmas. This is not a thing that usually happens in North America. It's so weird. Britain, you're weird, which is why we love you.
We're weird, and I'll tell you why after you're done.
All right, we love you because Christmas is either for you. It's either ghost stories or pantomime. And that's it.
Drunk off your butt.
It's just like we could either be completely weird in camp in pantomime, or we can scare the bejesus out of us like Halloween, except it's at Christmas. I don't understand it, and I'm fascinated by it.
Okay, but here's the thing. We're a
Dickens?
bunch of infants because North America is nothing but cartoon specials that we all go, I love it because I liked it when I was a kid.
That's true.
At least the Brits are like either drunk or talking about ghosts or both.
Yeah.
Every Christmas, I'm forced to watch the stupid Garfield Christmas special.
What?
Good.
Oh, who
That's a war
does
crime.
that?
That's an absolute war crime.
Cat. Mm-hmm. Oh,
Come on, Cat.
Contrarian
At least watch
cat.
the Heathcliff special. Come on. What
Unless
about Marmaduke's Easter?
Like, I can understand some of the...
Vito Bailey's Hanukkah? You know, I don't know.
I can understand some of the stalwarts, like, the 60s or whatever, Frosty the Snowman, or the stop motion...
The Rankin Bass stuff.
Rudolph or whatever, but...
Well, the great thing about, I think, Frosty the Snowman is that most of the voices are the same voices from the 60s Spider-Man, because it was voiced by Canadians. These same Canadians. J. Jonah Jameson is in the Frosty the Snowman.
That's madness.
Parker, get in here!
Now that I think about it, I know that,
your headcanon must be interesting, Warren.
It's very much so, yes.
I'm just trying to think now. Like, oddly enough, I don't think that Doctor Who they've more leaned into the Christmas in the Christmas specials and not necessarily the Christmas ghost story, Like maybe Last Christmas is like definitely leans into horror.
That's as close as you're gonna get, yeah.
Yeah, but they've never done the Christmas like ghost story kind of thing, which is mildly surprising. And now that we don't do Christmas episodes anymore,
it wasn't at Christmas, but whatchamadiber in series 1.
Christmas Invasion?
No, the
the Unquiet Dead.
Mark Gatiss' Unquiet Dead.
Yes.
Maybe they feel like it. They already did it. Anyway, Torch is doing it. It's called The Grey Mare. It's coming out December 2021. Also out now, Doctor Who: The Lost Resort and Other Stories.
Ghost Adric. There's a lot of ghosts happening here.
There's a lot of ghosts happening in this one. Yeah, we're not light on ghosts in this episode for Radio Free Skaro. Get it? Ghost light.
I enjoy the pun of the title as well. The Lost Resort.
Lost Resort.
The Last Resort.
Last Resort. Yeah. I get it. Anyway, it's out now from Big Finish, where they love stories, apparently. Also, I love these, the Doctor Who Chronicles, special Doctor Who magazine special editions called Doctor Who Chronicles. They've come out with one for 1965. 1975. Don't want to look back at 1985 as much because, Doctor Who was like canceled for a bit there. So instead, they're doing Doctor Who 1983, the last great year of classic Doctor Who when you think about it in the public eye, because it's the only year where it's like, maybe they should cancel it. Because it wasn't. It was a big celebration of Doctor Who and its 20th anniversary. And of course...
Yeah, you want callbacks and nostalgia? Here you go.
That is it. Looking back at 1983. It's coming out September 30th. In addition to the Doctor Who magazine actual subscription, I'll be getting that like I've got the other two because they're pretty great. And it's 1983. It's Peter Davison. At some point during the course of that year, he decides, I don't want to do Doctor Who anymore. So, barely...
Champion for me. And with that one reason to school, and he's a doctor. I can't remember what it's called. A very peculiar practice. It's quite good, actually. I've seen bits of it.
Where have you seen that? Because it's not on BritBox, and I've been wanting to watch that.
Well, I saw that several years ago off a hard drive at Simon Harry's place.
That'll do it. And
it has the great line, where's the meat in this meal? I'm not a bloody sociologist, which I fell over laughing at.
I think the greatest streaming service in the universe is owned by Simon Harry's, and that is his own personal hard drive. He's got everything on there.
Indeed, yes.
He might even have missing episodes of Doctor Who on there. I'm not too sure.
Let's not incriminate the poor man.
No, that's true. Anyway, it's coming September 30th. I am looking forward to it because it's about everything, but the whole 20th anniversary. I look back at the 20th. I know I've said this on this podcast before, but I look back on the 20th anniversary of Doctor Who kind of like I look back at the 50th, whereas like there's this big, massive hype and attention both from the basic press of fans and by the BBC, most importantly. And then after that, it's almost like Doctor Who's an afterthought and they want to get rid of it. And I kind of feel like the Capaldi era was kind of given like, oh yeah, Doctor Who also exists, but it's not the 50th anymore, so what are we paying as much attention to it? And I feel like Doctor Who since the 50th anniversary has sort of kind of been not an afterthought, but certainly not treated with as much reverence as it was leading up to the 50th. And I kind of get that same impression when in regards to the 20th anniversary, based on the fact that they tried to cancel the damn thing a couple years after.
That's kind of inevitable. It's like they put all this hype and resources into it. They're not going to continue doing that.
I suppose. Although I look back at now they have a Star Trek day, whereas I remember when the 50th anniversary of Star Trek actually happened, there was a 2-minute trailer and that was it. Thanks for watching Star Trek
at the time, right?
I guess, but there was no celebration of what came before either. It was fairly.
I bet you they were probably in a weird stage where they were planning all this stuff but couldn't say anything about it. But also the 50th anniversary happened at the same time. So what are they going to do, right? Nothing. You can't really say, "Oh, we got new stuff." By the way,
the absolute best thing for Star Trek Celebration stuff was this year, because it's the 55th anniversary of the show, and they had the big convention in Las Vegas. LV, Star Trek 55, LV.
Oh, right.
Which was a coincidence that I just sings to me.
That's so clever. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
That is clever. 55. Roman numerals. Get it?
Not if you don't know them, how will you know when certain motion pictures are copyrighted?
Or when Super Bowls happen. What Super Bowl was that?
Except for 50.
50,
they thought people were too stupid to just say L.
Well, they were right.
That's true. Yeah. It's so pretentious. Anyway, what are we talking about?
Said Super Bowl.
Yeah, Doctor Who Chronicles coming out September 30th. That's the third issue of it.
Doctor Who Atlas, then.
Doctor Who Atlas,
which isn't out for us yet.
No, it's out for the UK though.
Why do you sound surprised, Chris?
I don't know.
That's a hell of a question.
Yeah, that's the thing. Anyway, Doctor Who Atlas, it has like a bunch of I love maps. Maps, characters, histories, all sorts of different maps and stuff throughout the history of Doctor Who. This is my kind of stuff, which I like. With a forward from Rachel Talalay. She what directed all them Doctor Who's that we like and stuff. So yeah,
A good egg, one would say.
that too. Doctor Who Atlas is coming out in the UK. 30 maps of Doctor Who with a whole bunch of neat information and great artwork and stuff like that. As Chris said, doesn't come out until late October here.
October 26th, I think it was.
Probably.
Somewhere in there, anyway.
Which is dumb because I probably just want the ebook version of this anyway because I go after ebooks more than I go for physical media
Get
these
out
days.
an iPad. Don't look at Atlas on a Kindle, for God's sakes. And I say as a Kindle lover.
That would be ridiculous because it's just like in bitmap. No, I would. Yeah, much rather do this on a Kindle and such. But anyway, it's coming out now. It's now out now in the UK, late October 26th here in North America. We end the show with a couple of sad obituaries. Tony Selby. I know that there was a big thing when another person called Tony Selby had passed away, and some people had confused it with our Tony Selby, Sabalom Glipt himself. But alas, he has passed away at the age of 83 after contracting COVID. Damn it, get vaccinated, people, so we can.
For jerks.
Yeah, died at the age of 83. He was in a lot of stuff. The Guardian had a big obituary. Of course, we care about the paragraph that mentions his Doctor Who work because he was awesome as Sabalom Glitz.
Yes, he was.
I don't know the guy's name. I'm sorry, but the cat who cosplays the Sabalom Glitz down to the little shaved sideburns and stuff at Chicago TARDIS. I think I've seen him at Gallifrey 1 too. It makes me laugh every time I see him.
Is he the same guy who cosplays as JNT?
I don't know if he does. No, I don't. I think, Warren, that cosplay is unintentional.
I'm not sure. I never want to ask either.
Yeah.
In case it is unintentional.
Or maybe it's just, I don't know. Anyways, Tony Selby, hell of a career. I didn't realize this until I watched this. I just, obviously I just think, oh, it's Tony Selby from Doctor Who and nothing else. Because why would he be in anything other than Doctor Who? Because Doctor Who's the epoch of everything. I bet you he's into a lot of that raw footage that I'm waiting to see for Dragonfire.
Yeah, probably is.
It's going to be great.
Stephen, you're a special boy.
Very much.
One thing I'll say about Selby is many years ago at some place in Barking, London.
Right.
I was at the there's a 10th Planet or whatever signing for the Trial of a Time Lord DVD set.
Right.
So this would have been late 2008 or whatever. Anyway, Tony Selby was one of the guests there, along with Pip and Jane Baker and some others and whatnot. And there's one point in the day where Tony Selby went off to the washroom to do washroomy things,
right? And
some quote unquote fan chose to follow him into the bathroom and accost him for an autograph.
What? Time and place.
Was very shortly thereafter removed from the premises for his
good
faux pas.
And that's how I remember Tony Selby.
So I remember him anyway. That's the most recent thing that I've ever seen him do. That after Doctor Who. So
right. Oh, I think he's on the making of and stuff like that. But being someone who watches Doctor Who and other things that other people, I have yet to see him in anything else. So, but he's great. I absolutely adored him in Trial of a Time Lord. He's one of the reasons why I enjoy Trial of a Time Lord so much, because of his performance of that. And I'm sure he did a whole bunch of other stuff, which is probably even more reputable than his Doctor Who stuff. But R.I.P. Tony Selby. Also, Vera Fusek, who played the President of Earth in Frontier in Space and was amazing in it.
I would vote for.
Passed away at the age of 89 this past week.
I don't think it was an actual democracy. It didn't feel like one.
I don't know how the President of Earth was appointed, but just the fact that, I love Frontier in Space for many reasons, but how forward-thinking it was that we'll just put a President of Earth as, and she's a woman, and we don't mention the fact that she's a woman. She's just this kick-ass, Czech-sounding lady. In that time, 1973, middle of the Cold War, she's obviously Eastern European, and looking glamorous. Honestly,
phenomenal outfit. Yeah.
Vera Fusek as the President of Earth is Servalan, except without the evil, she was.
So not Servalan at all, actually.
Not Servalan at all, but glamorous yet competent, which I adore about her in that performance. And, as I said, I don't know anything else about her life and such outside of Doctor Who, but according to the Telegraph, she was once propositioned by Salvador Dali, for crying out loud. What a life. We were blessed. We were lucky to have someone as glamorous as Vera Fusek for 6 weeks of Doctor Who back in 1973.
Since we know nothing about anything besides Doctor Who, should we just change the name of the segment to Shortchanged in Death?
God, pretty much.
Yeah, your accomplishments, whatever. By the way, Doctor Who.
Yeah, I feel really guilty about thinking, Boris, you're saying massive career ahead of you, and it only starts with like 11 episodes of 10 episodes of Doctor Who in 1963 and 64, most of which don't exist. Let's talk to you about them instead. Yeah. Anyway, Vera Fusek passed away at the age of 89. That's it. That's it for this massive sprawling episode of nonsense and talk that I hope helped fill your day a little bit with whimsy and distraction. That is the point of this podcast, and probably, despite all of our best intentions over the past 15 years, is probably the best we can hope for. So until next time on this podcast, Doctor Who Radio Free Skaro, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreeskaro.com. Follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro. Subscribe to us on iTunes and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.